Well, hello, everyone. My name is Tom Johnson, and I'm the director of the EOGOGIX Web Live programs. Having been involved in computer-based training in one form or another for more than 25 years now, it's my pleasure to welcome each of you to this Web Live session. For those of you who may be new to EOGOGIX, I'll refer you to the About EOGOGIX page on our website. Suffice to say that the EOGOGIX team, led by KK Aurora, has been involved with many landmark telecom projects worldwide during the last 20 years or so. In fact, I think KK's in our audience out there somewhere. Are you there, KK?
I am, and good afternoon. Welcome to the class.
Well, thank you, sir. Now, let me introduce our presenter for today. Jim Cavanaugh is a principal member of the EOGOGIX Telecommunications faculty. During Jim's impressive 30-plus year career, he has been involved in the hands-on design of many local and global networks involving many different technologies. It's no surprise, then, that he teaches a very wide range of EOGOGIX courses, including NGN, IMS, SIP, E over IP, V over IP, IPTV, Unified Communications, Mobile IP, IP IPsec, MPLS, SNMP, Ethernet, SONET/SDH, and DWDM, in addition to network and installation security, disaster recovery, CALIA 911, and many other topics. He's a popular instructor and has taught hundreds of classes on the web and in person worldwide. He's published a half a dozen books and scores of articles on various aspects of telecommunications. He's as entertaining as he is knowledgeable, and I think you'll enjoy today's class. Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Cavanaugh.
Well, thank you, Tom. I certainly appreciate that, and welcome everybody to Next Generation Networks, as our title says, Explained. And I hope that we will explain some things, but actually we will probably leave you with more questions than answers, and that's probably good too, if we can at least answer some of the questions that you've got and put some other ones out there for you. That'll be a very good thing. The material we're presenting today is the intellectual property of EOGOGIX, and the contact information here will allow you to contact EOGOGIX if you have any interest in use of this material for other than just the educational purposes of this actual program. Let's take a look at some different NGN perspectives. In fact, when I think about the next generation network, I recall a trip I made at one point to Russia. It was actually my very first trip to Russia, and was very eager to land in St. Petersburg and practice the 8 or 10 words of Russian that I knew, and to see the beautiful city. And I was looking out the window of the airplane down upon the Russian countryside. There was a gentleman sitting next to me, and we'd been talking throughout the flight from Frankfurt. And I just happened to ask him what he saw when he looked out the window. And he looked out and he said, well, I see different kinds of fields, different colors, different plants, different soil richness, and different aspects of the countryside. And of course, this was because he is a person who had been a farmer for many years and was working with one of the U.S. government agencies in working to make the Russian farms more productive. So from his perspective, the countryside was really a patchwork of farms and different land use, et cetera, that had its impact on what grew there and the other benefits of people and what they eat and everything else. And he asked what I saw. And I looked out, and I told him that I could see where new fiber optic cables were being buried. I could see the old telecommunications facility, some old microwave towers, things like that. And, of course, our perspectives were very different, even though we were looking at the same thing. So what I'd like to do is to begin today's program by talking about different perspectives on the next generation network, even to the point of asking what in the world the next generation network is. And what I'd like to ask everyone to do is to try to not only learn more from your own point of view, your own perspective, but also try to take the perspectives of others as well, to learn more about their perspective, what's important to them. And I think that in so doing, we will develop a broader, richer, more full view of the next generation network. So having said that, let's take a look at the perspectives, or some of the perspectives for the next generation network. First of all, let's consider that there really is not a single definition. If one were to go to the dictionary and look for a next-generation network, you're not going to find a diagram and a very conclusive explanation of what a next-generation network is, or especially what the next-generation network is. To some of us, a next-generation network, really the next-generation network, is MPLS. That's new. That's exciting. That's different. That's on the horizon. It's something that we haven't experienced. It's a quality of service assured system. Or maybe our next-generation network lies beyond MPLS in VPLS and the virtual private LAN service that really is an extension of the work done with MPLS. Maybe that's our version of the next-generation network. Maybe we're in an environment where we're dealing with the lowest layer of the network. The fiber optics, the optical network might be the next-generation network, or a network based upon SIP, the Session Initiation Protocol, that does video, voice, and other things over IP. Maybe networks that include presence, location, preference, and things like that. Or, quite possibly, maybe it's a network where we can be mobile, we can be stationary, or we can be nomadic, independent of the network, and that's all done transparently. Or maybe it's IMS and fixed mobile convergence. In any case, there are many different flavors, there are many variations on this theme of the next generation network, and that will be what we're talking about today. Before we go much farther, let's talk about IP, and I've chosen to do this first in today's program because, quite frankly, the more I talk to folks, the more I understand that there is a static, fixed idea of what IP is all about, where it's going to be used, how it's going to be used, and how it's used in the network today. But just like looking out the window of the aircraft coming into St. Petersburg, Russia, I realized that all of these fixed, firm views of the world are based upon the different perspectives, the different roles that people play. So let's take a look more closely at the Internet Protocol and determine what its role may or may not be in the next generation network. I think that will help to broaden our perspectives and understand certainly better what the next generation network is or can be. Let me ask by a show of hands if there is anyone on the call today who does not agree that IPv4 or IPv6, certainly more likely v4, has become the superglue that holds all networks together. Does anybody disagree with that statement? Okay. Looks like everybody agrees with that statement, that we have got this thing called IP, and it is the glue that holds all the networks together. I guess our next question has to be, will this remain the case in the next generation network or networks? Let's take a deeper look at the roles of IP. And I've got a new term. I certainly like creating acronyms. I think that's a very important thing to be able to do. So going forward, I would like to have everyone on the call please raise their right hand. No, that's not the one that we show on the call here, but your right hand, your actual right hand, and promise to be the ambassadors for the new acronym TG or TGN, This Generation Networking. So as we see from our chart, TG or this generation versus next generation, certainly we are using the IP version 4 addresses broadly and increasingly the IP version 6 addresses for public network addressing to identify things within the public network. And I do believe that that will be the trend going forward into the next generation networks. Now, what we will also, however, start to see is more addressing that's actually, at least in appearance, independent of the underlying IP addresses. However, whatever the higher layer identifiers are, they will actually map in the network to lower layer IP addresses, be they IPv4 or IPv6. And if you're scratching your head wondering what I'm talking about, consider, for instance, SIP, the Session Initiation Protocol. SIP is really something which began with the emphasis on voice over IP, but quite frankly, the applications go way beyond that, whatever session types we could define, whether these are chat type sessions or whether these are video conferencing sessions or whatever, SIP